Today we're talking about another type of non-market valuation, and the key to this one, it's called hedonic pricing, is that there's going to be a market that's very similar or tightly integrated with the non-market features, so the environmental quality or the environmental amenity, that we're going to be able to link those two things. So let's dig in. There's two types of non-market valuation out there, or rather you can categorize any type of non-market valuation into something called stated or revealed preferences. So stated preferences are when we ask people to state their value. We say, how much do you value something? And they give an answer. They state the answer. This is called a stated preference. People are stating their preferences. The most clear example of this is contingent valuation. The survey method, asking people what their willingness to pay or their willingness to accept is. This is a stated preference. Now, if possible, economists, or at least this economist, likes things that are called revealed preferences. And what we'd really like, so there's some problems with stated preference and hypothetical bias, or just this sort of this idea that the situation isn't grounded in real life decisions. There's no consequences to stating your preference. We sometimes look for observed behavior that we can infer some sort of valuation from. And these are called revealed preferences. The idea that people are making a choice, making a transaction that reveals how they feel. One of those is called value of statistical life. So when we make things that influence our likelihood of death or our morbidity or mortality, that this is an observed action. We choose dangerous jobs and we're compensated for it. This is a revealed preference for how we trade off those life and death decisions or those risky situations. Another one is the travel cost method. So we talked about before. Travel cost method looks at how much people visit or how tied to their the cost of them getting there. So we can look and we can see people actually visiting a park or visiting a location, and we can link that to their travel costs. We know, or we have observed anyway, that this sort of travel cost relationship is the visitation rates go down for people that live further away. So this is a revealed preference. And now we're going to talk about hedonic pricing. This falls under this realm of revealed preferences. So we're going to be looking for markets that have some sort of component or that are sort of tangent or related to the environmental amenity or the issue that we're trying to look at. And by far and away the most common type of pricing mechanism or things that we buy is houses. So if you go onto the market, we often price houses based on features that they have. How many bedrooms do they have? Is it square feet, right? So there's sort of a price per square foot that exists in some sort of market. So larger homes cost more. Do they have large yards? Do they have a number of bedrooms? These sorts of features are often wrapped up and described into the price of a home. We're used to these sorts of transactions. And the upside is there's tons of data about housing prices. Houses are bought and sold every day in communities across the country. And there's lots of variation both in the types of houses, but also a lot of environmental goods or features to it. So there's some houses that are near parks. There's some houses that are near loud roads. There's some houses that are overlooking beautiful vistas. Those houses, if you think about it, are often worth more. The exact same house near a park or near a beautiful vista or with a beautiful vista is going to cost more than a house without those environmental amenities. So what hedonic pricing does is look at these repeated transactions, these home sales, this observed behavior of people buying and selling homes, and we get some sort of value, some sort of price premium, if you will, for something like open space, something for a nice view. Likewise, we should see a discounting, so lower prices for things that might be near loud roads or in high crime areas. This is the advantages of hedonic pricing is that there's lots of data. And you can look on Zillow or any sort of real estate market transaction, and you can see this. So here's a map of Fort Collins, and you see home prices throughout the area. You see some parks, you see some lakes, and what you'll see is that homes that are near those parks, near those lakes, will sell for a premium. It's not super surprising. And the way we do this for folks that have had statistics or econometrics, we take regression. So on the left-hand side, we have price of homes across all the features, so things like number of bathrooms, things like square feet. And then we add the environmental amenity that we might be interested in, something like distance to a park or number of trees. And the coefficient on that regression coefficient shows how much people are willing to pay for marginal increases in number of trees, or how much the price will go down marginally for distance to the park. It's a relatively straightforward method, and it has lots of data. So there's lots of hedonic studies out there. If you're doing something related to a park, open space, the hedonic pricing method is likely to be your, or at least part of your toolbox. It's a really good way to measure things that are fixed in space, have lots of homes around them. You can use it for air quality studies. So some neighborhoods have more ozone or poor air quality. So you can look at changes in price for the same homes, the same sort of features, square foot, number of bathrooms, age of home, for something like air quality. Studies have found that mature trees can increase the home value by 7 to 19%. These are things we're using hedonics for. Housing prices increase by 1%, or rather 0.1%, when they are located 10 meters closer to an urban park. So something like City Park in Fort Collins increases the price of that, and you can measure the value, and it should decline as you get further away from the park. Disamenities, hedonic pricing has been used for things that we don't like, so environmental bads. In some places, parks and open space are deemed unsafe, so if there's sort of lots of crime or drug activity in a park, it can actually lower the value. So not all parks are created equal. You can measure that effect, the effect of crime or the effect of a disamenity with hedonic pricing. An interesting feature is gentrification. So this idea that when we go in and improve locations, so the reason we improve locations, well, there's lots of reasons we do that. It drives the price up and has maybe some environmental justice issues there. So so these are all sort of easy to find examples in the literature. So folks that are doing open space, folks that are doing environmental quality that might affect a home price, I would certainly turn to hedonic pricing to do that. I think you can find lots of examples of it just out there in the web. If not, you can always contact me as well.